doesn't it happen to you a lot of times that you listen to a particular song produced by a particular DJ, and then after that you just go back and say, damn, I wish I could just make that particular type of a synth sound or that particular type of a plug sound. That's exactly what we're going to be doing in today's episode of DJ Suketu Unplugged. We are going to be taking a look at how to make a Deadmau5 style synth using Logic Pro X and ES2. So let's get into it. This is exactly what we are going to be learning in today's episode of DJ Suketu Unplugged. How to make a synth like this, how to make sure you know how to cut it off the filter and just bring it back again. Something that what Deadmau5 would use. So sort of a sound like Deadmau5. Well, let's get right into it. The first instance that we need to do is, of course, open up a software instrument. You guys in Logic Pro, as well as who don't know Logic Pro, know by now by the previous episodes how to open up a software instrument. Just click on the plus button on the left hand side. Click on software instrument and press create, and there we go. We have a software instrument on the left hand side. In the inspector section, go down to instrument, there's a drop down box, and open up ES2. That's right, I've made the view a little bit bigger for you guys, so you can just see all the knobs and the buttons properly when we zoom in. Well, this is what the ES2 looks like when it opens up. What I've done is I've just created a Suketu's default ES2 that is just switch off everything else and just keep it absolutely normal and simple. So as you've seen, all the oscillators are shut, everything is just absolutely to negative and zero and to the starting point of creating your own patch. Well, let's get started. The first thing, like we always do, is we start from top bottom. So on the top, we first make the synth into unison. We create the voices to 14 voices. This basically means nothing but every oscillator that plays, it plays a little bit more layered and it sounds a little bit more wide. We go down to the oscillator 1, it's already on, but we don't want to use a sawtooth wave over here. We're going to be changing the waveform to a square wave right up here. Then open up oscillator 2, we keep it up at plus 3 cents, which is already there in my default, and we use a sawtooth wave. The third thing, open up oscillator 3. We again use a sawtooth wave over there as well. Don't change it, no need to change the semitone or the sense. We take the matrix, put it in between over here, somewhere in the center, so all the oscillators are heard sort of equally. It doesn't have to be absolutely exact, but as close as you can get. Let's say 33, 33 and 34%. Of course, as always, we don't want the synth to sound too digital, so we need to give it a little bit of that analog feel. So we have the analog button and the knob on the left hand side. We just go up and tune it up a little bit. The next thing we do, we take the notes which we had already played, take them and drop them down to our new software instrument track. So let's listen to what the synth sounds like just by doing so much. Not bad, we are pretty much there. What we are just going to be doing right now is, give it a little bit of distortion, a slight bit, maybe just about 3.4 dB. And then we go down to the most important part, that is your matrix modulator. What we do over here in the first modulator, we turn it on and put it on to the amp. The amp is basically which controls the whole sound together, the whole oscillators, all the 3 oscillators and the ES2 together. And we want to control that using envelope 3. Then the module wheel which is on, we put it back off, and this green knob which is there, take it all the way to the top. Basically what we are going to be doing is we are going to be controlling the amp with the envelope 3 over here. What I need to do over here right now is that when you filter out the sound, we need the attack to be really nice. It should just go and hit the sound at once. So reduce the attack, get it down to 0, slight bit of decay, and we want a sound which is slightly more tight. We don't want that sustain, we don't want it to just elongate for too long once it's played. So we take the sustain all the way down, increase the time, and we again increase the release slightly and keep it in between. Now no velocity. Let's see how this sounds. Just notice the difference in the sound when we take the sustain up and we take the sustain down. Did you feel the sound and every note just elongating itself and just going too long? So we don't need that sustain. We need it to be a really nice, fine, short, crisp note. So we keep the sustain all the way down. But if a person wants to play this melody right, with the keyboard and everything, and he's a pianist or a musician, then I think what we'll do is that we'll keep the velocity as well as, keep it full as well, because then with the pressure that he hits the notes on his MIDI keyboard, he can get a sound which would be, sort of complementing his hits. The second thing which we need to do is go to the second target in the matrix modulator, put it on and put it on to the cutoff 1 and 2, and we are going to control this with the envelope 2, which is right here. Once again, we don't want the filter to have any sort of a sustain at all. So bring the sustain down, slight bit of release, put the velocity up and give it a little bit of a decay. Now what we do is go up to our filters in this circle over here. As you can see that we've only selected the filter 2. Make it to fat, because we always like that fat sound in an anthem. Reduce the cutoff slightly. Let's listen to what the sound sounds like now. I think we are pretty much there, and ES2's job is done over here. Well, to get that cutoff feel, what do? Just take your mouse, put it on the cutoff knob over here, play the sound and turn it anti-clockwise. So the minute you turn the cutoff anti-clockwise, the sound just becomes, it gets a lot of low ends and it becomes very muffled and goes down. And the minute you turn it back again on clockwise, it just opens up and widens up. Well, we are still not done yet. We can't let one sound be just the way it is. We need to add some stuff on it, EQs, reverbs, delays, everything, just to get that wideness and that nice sound. Well, go down to our inspector. In the audio effects, the first thing that we'll put is the equalizer. Open up the equalizer. Basically, as we know that always in all these synths that are made, you want the low ends to be really less. Maybe a little bit of high ends is good, but low ends should practically be taken off, because like I always told you, the low ends will be taken care of by your sub bass, your bass line and your kick. So we don't need that over here on this synth. So we go down to the EQ and just cut off the low ends, maybe go out to about 100-150 Hertz. If you need to, depending on what sound you like, it depends on your ears and what you're going to be doing, and because it's your music, if you need to increase the highs, do increase it. But I'm pretty okay with, not increasing the highs. Let's listen to how it sounds. Yeah, I think I'm getting that clarity which I actually required. I didn't really need to increase the highs. Next thing, we need to make the sound a little bit more wider. So we're going to be putting a simple stereo delay on it. No need to do anything else. Just let the settings be the way it is. Maybe if you feel the delay is too much, you can just, reduce the feedback to about 20% on each channel. It opens up in a default at 30%. Now, let's take a look at it with the delay. If you want to get the proper feel of the delay, it would be really nice to just put the cutoff down and listen to it. And now when you press pause, you'll actually hear the delay totally. Did you just, hear that sound carrying on for a while? Well, that's what the delay does. And last but not the least, the most important to make the sound really wide and clean is your reverb. We put the reverb on, and this is what our sound is going to sound like finally. I think maybe the sound can get a little bit more reverb, just to make it a little bit more wider, and let that sustain come when you switch it off. And this is our synth sounding something like what Deadmau5 would create. There you go. I hope you guys enjoyed this particular episode of DJ Suketu Unplugged. If there is anything in particular that you want to learn, a particular sound that you need to know how to take out, or a particular artist and you want to see how he or she must have taken out that sound in their track, then do subscribe to our channel, leave a comment below, and I'll try and get back to you with an episode on how to create that sound.